Welcome on into the show. My name is Deny Gallagher, and I am joined by the snare campaign provocateur, the king of the gabagool himself. That's always a good backup. It's Benny Horowitz. What's up, dude?
Oh, king of the gabagool. I don't know about that. I mean, if anybody grows up in Central Jersey, you're a little Italian by proxy. So, I actually know what you're talking about when you say gabagool, which is maybe puts me a step ahead. You know what I realized the other day, if we're going straight to like Sopranos land,
Yeah.
is that Anthony Volpe, the pride and joy of the 64 win New York Yankees, who I went to a game last Sunday, and guess who bought official Yankees apparel for the first time since CC Sabathia? And guess who it was for?
Anthony Volpe.
Anthony Volpe. I now have a Volpe number 11 that I'm proudly rocking. So and then I'm thinking, I'm like, wait a minute, Tony from New Jersey.
Tony Volpe.
There's a Tony from New Jersey about to save the Yankees. Don't you see what's happening here? This is like the perfect narrative. That you couldn't make it better. That Tony from New Jersey is coming to play shortstop for the next 15 years and save the Yankees. Come on.
Was the last piece of merchandise for a New York team you bought a KD jersey for your son?
That is that is accurate. That is accurate. Until this last Yankees game where I bought him, he's of course little lot. He wanted a Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
So I got him a Babe Ruth. I got myself an Anthony Volpe. But I do think I think you're right. I think that's the first official gear I've bought since the KD jersey.
Wow.
Rest in peace. How do you do it? This way?
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. I'm excited for Anthony Volpe to be a Diamondback in 5 years. All right.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Well, speaking of a segment that we have to do each and every week, we got to. It's part of the bylaws. It's This Day Music History. Getting right into it. No funny business this week.
Oh, come on. Pop me in. I got a nice feel-good one today that made me feel good. On this day in 1957, a young Jimi Hendrix catches Elvis Presley's performance at Seattle's Sick's Stadium. The thing that stood out to me for this is like one thing I love. I don't know if you can tell by like the sappy handwritten video and stuff that I made, is that I love like that generational thing that happens with music and art. And I love when like one influences another who influences another. And like, I think there's a lot of people my age who could sit back and listen to Elvis and go like, yeah, like what did he do that has anything to do with what I do? It doesn't even seem like it makes sense. But then when you start understanding the history and the bridges and the fact that like a young Jimi Hendrix just saw this and that helped and that sparked something and that turned Jimmy into kind of who he was, who definitely had a huge influence on me and the music I love. So it's kind of a little bit of a window into, before you discard your elders, like do your homework, find out what happened. And you can see that the lineage, no one just invents shit out of thin air, man. And everybody bit from someone, was inspired by someone. And, as much as people want to think they're totally and wholly unique, they are not. The other thing this made me think was, what the fuck is Sick's Stadium? Yeah. Which I'd never heard of. It was torn down in 1979, and it was originally built in 1938 for the Seattle Rainiers of the Pacific Coast League.
Great documentary on them.
Yeah, they played there for over 30 years, along with the Seattle Steelheads of the Negro Leagues, the Seattle Pilots of the MLB for one season, and then the Washington Huskies pre-Pac 8 in the early 70s. So Sick's Stadium had a nice little run, taken down in 1979. Big ups to Seattle.
I love all of those old stadiums because especially here in town when you're driving along 78 and you're like, Roberto Clemente played here? Like, what the
Right.
fuck?
Yeah. When you start to actually go, you go to these weird neighborhoods out in like Weehawken, and you're like, wait,
Baseball was
what?
invented here.
Joe DiMaggio? Like, yeah, I know. It's true. It's true.
And then you go to other parts of New Jersey and you're like, Mickey Mantle did what here?
Right.
And it has nothing to do with baseball.
And then you go to Seattle and, their history is the Pacific Coast League for, between the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So it's interesting stuff.
Seattle, Portland, because it was Portland that was the bastards of baseball, because that was, oh my gosh, Backdraft actor. Now
Kurt Russell?
Kurt Russell's dad owned the Portland team.
Is that right? The Portland Pacific Coast League team.
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Which is now the stadium where the Portland Timbers in MLS play. So,
ow, look at this. Taking you down. Tune up, taking you down history lane today.
But Bastards of Baseball, great documentary on Netflix if you get a chance to watch it. You see a lot of chicanery that Major League Baseball has done in their time. But all right, Benny, on this day in 2011, Billy Joe Armstrong was thrown off a Southwest flight because the singer was, quote, wearing his pants too low. A flight attendant had approached Armstrong and told him, pull your pants up or get off the plane. Later, Southwest spokesman released a statement saying that the Green Day star and the airline had, quote, settled their differences. So,
I love that.
2011, Billy Joe Armstrong. 2011, singer Green Day riding Southwest. How we feel about this?
What else is he supposed to ride?
Just like Delta,
private
Delta.
You think Green Day? I mean, I don't know about. I don't know about that. You go Southwest, Delta, United. It's like, a pile of shit versus a pile of diarrhea versus like.
That's true, especially now.
Yeah, it's all terrible. So the one thing that surprises me about this is like, I know the look, right? Just Billy Joe's a proper punk. He probably had like this super tight jean thing going on where it's like hanging off your ass, and then had that like cock to the side, like bullet belt kind of thing going on. Like, I know the look he was going for. I'm surprised he was still going for that in 2011.
Yeah.
Because he was already like world famous by then. So that's where I'm like, I'm surprised that he was still rocking that style. I can't imagine what other style did it. But also I'm wondering, like, there must have been a lot of ass.
Yeah, a lot.
To prompt this response. So maybe he did it on purpose. Maybe he was just like fucking with him and it went too far or something.
You know what sucks about, though? If you do that with sweatpants, you get a pass. But if you do it with jeans, it's like people give you shit.
Oh no, dude. It's like 50% of it. People used to wear like top hats and ties to go to there. And now it looks like everyone's going to sleep. Yeah.
It's so crazy. All right. Well, there's no good transition here because there's nothing about going to sleep, but we are going to get to kind of the business side of music, as we like to do here. Our first story today, Ariana Grande has allegedly parted ways with her manager, Scooter Braun, and his HYB Entertainment Company, despite claims that coming out of Braun's camp that he's, quote, trying to step away from music. So there's a lot to unpack here, Benny, but it seems like Scooter Braun, who famously is the guy who bought Taylor Swift's masters, tried to sell them for his own profit, which it seems like he has seemed to done. He's known for helping launch a career of Justin Bieber, introducing a YouTube star to Usher, and then that's how the whole Justin Bieber thing. He's acquired a talent base that has Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, Demi Lovato, J Balvin, Idina Menzel, a lot of pop stars, a lot of pseudo hip hop stars from different areas. But, with all of this coming out and more expected to come out of him losing clients, especially after a 2021 sale where he sold his management company to a South Korean K-pop entertainment company for a little north of $1 billion. So this guy has made his money. Do you buy the fact that he's trying to get out of the management business? Or do you think that people are like, oh, wow, this guy's suing Justin Bieber for not working. He's buying Taylor Swift's masters and then selling them on for his own profit. Is this a matter of, oh, this guy sucks, I don't want to get away from him? Or is Scooter Braun just cashing out?
It sounds like cashing out to me, honestly. Yeah. Like the way it's going down and the way that people are making statements like, yes, we're separating ways from Scooter Braun and it's amicable and stuff like that. the one piece of insider information I can give here is normally in the music industry, managers don't work under contracts. So, yes, they have a legal right to be paid, on the things they worked on. And, as far as what the cash out of that is, or if you have to pay some of it out in perpetuity, I don't know what like the details are, but most artists are in a position where they could wake up any morning and say, okay, I'm going to fire my manager.
Yeah.
And there's no legal implication. The only legal implication to it is that you have to make sure you're paying someone on the work they did and the trail off of that work. Sometimes it's called a sunset clause. So, like, in that regard, it is easy to get rid of. And in this one, it sounds like, this guy is a money man to begin with. It was always a money man. Where is the money? And, sure, ran into a lot of drama in the music industry. It is a very, very rich person and is finding a different way to make a lot of money, probably more behind the scenes. Yeah. Because between him and Ryan, anybody named Braun is having a tough go, because one is just a total prick. One's a steroid guy,
Which one?
Well, maybe both. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt his Scooter shot something into his abs. So
Jeff
he
Bezos
looked good in Cabo. Yeah. Who knows? In the rich people world, yeah, they probably give injections on private planes, like it's a service, like a warm towel.
That's why. Oh my God, the guy that we were just talking about had his pants all the way down. He was ready for the rich
Billy
guy
Joe.
injection.
Billy Joe. Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't have too much to add there. It seems like a interesting situation considering how much people dislike Scooter Braun. But speaking of someone that really dislikes Scooter Braun, Taylor Swift.
Sure does.
Benny, we've been talking about her all summer. It's been the summer of Taylor, filling stadiums. But anyone who couldn't get tickets for the Taylor Swift Eras Tour, the record-breaking stadium tour, turns out they won't be missing out after all. A film rendered the Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour, will be hitting movie theaters on October 13th. It's coming to AMC. It's coming to your Regal Cinemas. It's coming to your Cinemarks. At AMC, apparently they're giving it the Barbie treatment. It's going to be playing at least 4 times a day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on that weekend.
Taylor.
First, I got to ask you here, because we don't talk enough on this pod about the concert film. What makes, in your opinion, a good concert film?
Great question. To me, I think the thing I've always been attracted to the most is the foreplay, because it's like the music I know, and, you've seen live videos, and like live concert footage is not something that's like, you're used to it, some are very good at it. Some are not as good, but the stuff I guess that always really grabs me is like, how are they getting ready? What do they look like back there? What does it look like back there? Like, give me the backstage pass that I don't get to have, I think that's the thing that really would, and especially with this, like even I'm fascinated by the relationship between like Taylor and her dancers and her staff, her management, the people. Like, is she the type of artist that actually knows someone doing light rigging or not? There's a big difference in artists there, and like, I'd be curious to know that part of Taylor Swift and what she's presenting. So, and as usual, I mean, savvy, tour's over. Imagine how much more of this is pulling in.
Yeah.
Jeez, Scooter Braun, fool.
I know.
Could have been taking 15% off this dog.
And it's going to be having a theatrical release, which is, that's more money coming in. See, here's why this is a genius thing for Taylor. Last year when I was at TIFF, she was also at TIFF. She's trying to move into the Hollywood space. What better way to prove you're a, quote, bankable director than putting this out there? And if this makes a lot of money, listen, I'm not going to say it's going to make Barbie money, though it could make Barbie money.
But she's getting a production deal. Yeah. Come on. Like,
no, but like,
Taylor Swift has an idea.
Yeah.
Someone's fucking bankrolling it.
Yeah,
she could that's the upside to being Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Does she have to suck the metaphorical dick of like Universal
No.
Studios? No. It's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fund it. I'm going to own it. She's probably going to have a production company soon, you know?
Oh,
If
and
LeBron can do it, Taylor Swift can do
oh,
it. Let's
you're
just say that.
See, this is the part for those of you. Benny's trolling me right now so hard, and I'm not going to take the bait. I'm not going to take the bait. But do you think something like this could top Barbie, though?
No, probably not.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. It would be kind of
That'd
unprecedented.
make me really
wouldn't it?
sad.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I feel like, you know, Barbie might have a wider breadth of audience than people who are, but, you know, based on ticket sales, I could be all wrong, you know?
Yeah.
So this could be huge. It's one of those things. It's hard to gauge, you know?
It's hard to gauge. That's right. All right. Well, speaking of something else that's hard to gauge, and we talk a lot about festivals, we talk a lot about lineups and potential everything. Benny, do you remember Fyre Fest?
Oh, too well.
Oh,
Too
man. Well, thank God you guys did not get caught up in it, because I feel like that could have been a time where, you know, this guy, Billy McFarland, could have hit up you guys and been like, hey, do you want to come down to the Bahamas? Anyway, he's trying to do Fyre Fest again, and apparently he sold 100 tickets to already. Pre-sales last Friday, that happened, and he's talking about how he sold out. Now, I don't think there's anybody that sold and put together more shows than you right here. So when you put together 100 shows, or when you put out 100 tickets for a show like this, what are you trying to gauge? Is this him trying to get the headlines, or is this thing maybe falsely for real?
I like, based on historical precedents here, I think everything that comes out of this person's mouth has to be considered bullshit until it's proven otherwise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, fool me once. like, you know, and some people are that stupid, or their attention spans are that short, or they weren't around for when that happened and didn't care. I mean, someone who was 15 at the time of the first Fyre Fest could be an early 20s party person now and just is like, oh, cool, this sounds nice, and just doesn't really know. As far as the 100 tickets, I mean, that's like
nothing. Yeah.
Obviously, it's to the point where, like, to me, this could easily be like, we sold 100 tickets to ourselves just so we could have a press release, you know, and just so we can start to put out the thing that this is a real thing again. This is what, when I read this story, there was one thing that stuck out to me. It's just like the absolute, like, egotistical pomposity white boy shit that this dude is on. Like, the idea, like, to me, like, his approach to doing this, how quick and all that, just means like, it's like there's this personal fucking big dick competition against himself to, like, look a certain way and be a certain way, no humility whatsoever, like, not even recognizing the fact that you just ripped so many fucking people off and, like, shredded an island, ripped off employees. Like this wasn't like some fun. We like to sugarcoat stuff like this is fun. Remember, there is, like, people on the ground spending their livelihoods setting this fucking thing up, tearing it down, ruining the place they live for nothing, for one person's fucking bravado and ego. And if that's what's repeating itself here, well, he and this thing can go fuck itself.
Yeah. And, you know, the fact that he committed fraud, it's like, why are you trying to do this? Like, I don't know if there was, like, you know, I mean, he probably knows people that were able to, like, oh, I'm just going to slap it with a misdemeanor and you can go on your way. But it's just insane to try this again, actually.
And insane that, like, you could go to jail for 10 years for, like, selling $20 worth of weed. Yeah. And this guy's already, like, back out doing the same exact fucking thing he just got in trouble for. You know, priorities.
Not a good story for the Irish surname, but that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. Okay.
You're clear. You're
clear.
Hopefully
for now. No, just kidding. All right, next story. And this is a bit of good news for anybody that's creative. Last week, a federal judge in Washington, D.C. ruled that artwork generated by artificial intelligence is not eligible for copyright because it, quote, lacks human involvement. reaffirming a March decision that the U.S. Copyright Office laid down. This in the midst of the continued WGA and SAG-AFTRA strike that we've been talking about, where these Hollywood studios seem to be intent on using the idea of AI to try to scare workers into doing a deal that better works for them. With AI work not being able to be copyrighted, that makes it pretty not valuable, right? Because it's like then anybody can do it. You don't have ownership, and then you could, I don't know, like you could make a AI movie and not be able to monetize it as much as you would if you held the copyright. Am I off base here?
No, you're not. And I also think it's like the first thing that popped in my head when I read this is the slippery slope this kind of leads you down. Because from all my understanding of AI, what it's making is a collective pool of actual artists. So I think the trick to find out here and what we need to hold these companies accountable for, we're going like straight to D here. Like the AI's painting is like steps down the line of when someone should be compensated. We have to figure out a way to get the entry into the AI compensated. If your work is being seen by the robot, being entered into the mainframe of overall intelligence, which then creates this piece, don't you deserve a cut of that? And that's where I think we need to start like turning this argument over a little bit and getting it like earlier on. Like, we sold all of our information. We sold all of our shit. We pasted it on the fucking internet for them to have. Every artist worth their salt in the last like 20 years has not only been putting up every work they've made, they've been putting up their sketches and the things that made them get to that work. That is all being pulled into this intelligence. So it's like, it's already using us. It is us, So I think the trick is we got to go to the front of it and start breaking down this 1/100 millionth of a percentage that you took of my shit that made this shit. And like, why aren't these companies ever going to be held accountable in that way?
So you're talking like creative reparations.
I mean, or at least like, this is new.
Yeah.
This is still new.
Yeah.
So I do think like there's a chance to get ahead of this. The problem is the people making art who would be able to make some money, like doing it the way I'm saying to do it, would slow this down to a fucking snail's pace.
Yeah.
And that's the reason it would never happen, is because the people controlling these reels and stuff have moved way past that already.
Yeah.
But that's what actually should happen.
So, and the other thing that I'm interested in the whole AI conversation, it's like, where does this draw the line? Because like, say if you're making a film or a record, there's a lot of different softwares that can make the production elements faster, whether it's like like something like renders faster, or you can cut something faster. So if any of that touches it, does that mean you can't copyright it? I'm kind of confused as to where we're going to draw the line here.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, and even like you've heard a lot of songs on the radio.
Interpolation, yeah.
Not even interpolation. I mean, these programs now, you can do a great vocal track, right? Put it into your computer and press a button and say, what do you think should be here for drums? And it creates a drum track for you.
Yeah.
And that basic version of the drum track has definitely made its way all the way to the radio.
Yeah.
100%, So yeah, you're right. Like, this is, we've been dancing with the devil, and now we're looking into its eyes and we don't like what we see. But yeah, we've been using this for a long fucking time. It's true.
Well, hopefully we figure a way to get ourselves out of this. But Benny, somebody who's trying to figure out a way to get themselves out. This is a fun story. As we hit the point of the tune-up where I feel like people are like, Now's my time to take the bathroom break. Let's talk about a lady that's suing Italy because she tripped over a bunch of gabagool out of Italy in Boston. I wish I had the video for this. I've tried.
Tripped or flipped?
She tripped and
tripped over a pile of gabagool. Didn't slip on a gabagool.
Apparently, there was just
what?
The way that she tries to portray is there was a slice of gabagool. She walked over it like it's a banana peel, and she had her entire moment here. More of these lawsuits, please.
I mean, all right, let's go back before I make fun of this.
Yeah,
because I did have my lesson when that lady burnt her crotch at McDonald's, and I made fun of her for like 10 years. She actually deserved her money. So, how bad did this lady get hurt?
All right, so the woman fractured her left ankle during a trip with her husband to Italy in Boston.
They were tourists,
blaming it on the piece of
on the gabagool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big break. Fractured the ankle. What is she looking for here for compensation? Medical or more?
It seems to be that she is this is funny. So she was in the food samples area when she slipped on the prosciutto. This according to the lawsuit.
She slipped on the prosciutto. She slipped on the That's prosciutto. Where I can tell you're from New Jersey real fast.
So
God.
It seems like she wants financial, which obviously. So yeah.
I mean, I would love to know how the piece of prosciutto got there, because there's no way it was definitely some dingus who just dropped their prosciutto. It wasn't like some error of the store. Yeah, I wonder where this goes. I mean, I wanna call it hogwash, but also I'm like, Italy can afford to pay for this lady's ankle. I don't care either. But just the simple fact that this headline is Italy, being sued for slipping on prosciutto it's fucking funny.
My fear is that this goes that because of this lawsuit, people aren't going to want the chance that food falls on the floor and we lose the free samples at your Costco's, at your Italy's, from the highest food emporium down to the Costco's.
Oh, man. So you think this is fucking with my cheese at Whole Foods?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
100%.
All right, then don't give her a dime.
We can be here. So easily.
Throw the case out. Keep giving me free cheese. Yeah.
Oh.
All right. I'm glad it's good. It's good. I was feeling a little flip-floppy about that one.
Yeah.
I'm glad I have a position now.
Well, Benny, do you have a position on the Loch Ness Monster? And I promise this is our last zany story of the day.
Oh, I love zany.
Mystery hunters are converging on the Scottish lake on Saturday, this upcoming Saturday. So if you're in Scotland, get on out there to try to look for signs of the Loch Ness Monster. This event is put on by the Loch Ness Center, and it's, quote, they want to inspire a new generation of Loch Ness enthusiasts. So my entire thing about this is the Loch Ness Center, they're trying to find this evidence. They're seeing that the TikTok generation has lost excitement about the Loch Ness Monster, and they're trying to do a bit of a fun run here. They're trying to get people inspired to
Nessie marketing,
which is why Loch Ness Monster not real.
Oh, of course it's not real. So, but as someone who's raising small kids right now, I gotta say, I get a lot of bandwidth out of the Loch Ness Monster, Yeti, Bigfoot, Jersey Devil, Chupacabra conversation. They're unicorns. Yeah. They're fantasy. They're these fun mythical things. I remember I used to commute with my father out to a school in Phillipsburg, and apparently in one of the mountains there was a unicorn that lived. I love how this stuff goes. So as far as that, I love the fantastical use of imagination. And I do think one thing about all of these creatures.
Yeah.
And I've done a little research on the Jersey Devil. I've read a couple books, at least to know that it's the Leeds Devil. I know the story. And I do think these animals existed at some point. I think they were just these freakish animals who lived a really long time, probably isolated, and got super weird and large looking and freaked out some locals early on. And then the tales start and they begin. And so do I think Loch Ness Monster is real? You know what?
We got to keep it going.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes, I do. The same way I think the fucking Easter Bunny and Santa and all of it is real.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's fucking real, but it's great.
Yeah.
And it sparks the imagination and it goes into the unknown. It's also going to get like, I don't know, 1,000 people off their fucking TV sets and onto a boat in a lake in the middle of Scotland, which who knows what it'll open up for people.
Yeah.
So I love shit like this. Nessie lives.
See, here's my thing with this whole thing. I think, so I don't know if you saw this week that the governor of New Jersey had to do a whole press conference declaring that Central Jersey is real.
Again?
Yeah. No, like official declaration. There's officially
official.
North New Jersey. Yeah.
Okay.
We need, unless they're going to get, I don't know, what's it in Scotland, the prime minister out there declaring Nessie real. We need to really blow this out and not just like Pokemon Go for Scottish kids.
You need to knight Nessie somehow.
Yes.
Sir Nessie. I mean, listen, I take this to the point when I take my family to the shore and drive through some parts of the Pine Barrens and stuff, like we look for like Jersey Devil poop. And I'm like, guys, look for like steaming piles because that's how you know he was here and stuff. It's fun. Let's have some fun. Anyone who sits there and steadfastly goes, these things are not real. Ugh. Fuck that person. Come on. Lighten up.
Oh, well, speaking of somebody who's actually not real, let's talk about Skip Bayless.
Anthony Edwards?
Yeah. No. We're going to talk a little bit about, because I think Skip Bayless is biting on our territory because his new lineup for Undisputed came out, and guess who one of the panelists is?
No, he didn't get a musician, did he?
Lil Wayne.
No!
So
I like Lil Wayne.
Yeah. He seems cool. he seems the guy had the whole thing going. But what do you make of musicians talking sports in mainstream media? Can't believe it.
What do they know? Here's the thing, is that I listen to a lot of podcasts and, we're in that funky part of the off season where I'm listening to like Locked On Nets, listening to 30 minutes of like Cam Thomas coverage, like we're going deep. And none of these fucking people played. You know what I mean? And they're all considered analysts just because they're fucking nerdy white guys who sit in their computer all day. I got to tell you, I've spent a lot of time in my computer too. So I think I know at least as much as them.
Yeah.
If you're asking me for like JJ Redick, Draymond Green kind of coverage, hands off. Didn't play the game. You guys tell me.
Yeah.
But you want to talk fucking straight analytics and numbers and what you see and what you make of it? Sure. I think my voice is as crucial as anyone's, and Lil Wayne's as well.
Let me be honest. You're watching way more like basketball than Lil Wayne is to go on the show.
Yeah.
Like I'm
saying. I'm watching first day of summer league, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I had to see Chet Holmgren work.
Yeah.
And I text Howard Beck, friend of the show, Howard Beck. And his first reaction isn't like, oh, yeah, Chet looks good. It's like, why are you watching the first day of Summer League?
Yeah.
You're a drummer. You shouldn't be doing this. You know what? So I'm putting my homework in, I'll
tell you what, for the Rockets against your Nets, Daryl Morcell, my Marquette guy, looked pretty good.
Listen, if you wanted a heel to go against Skip Bayless, should have been me.
Oh,
that guy angers me.
Here we go.
Here we go. It's Friday. It's Friday. Time for the weed whacker.
It's time for the weed whacker. And Team USA.
Let me close the door.
Okay.
Denny, keep talking.
Let me set this up. Team USA put the weed whacker on Montenegro, but not really. So Team USA struggled a bit on Friday morning as they approached the next round in the FIBA World Cup. Team USA struggled, but they ended up beating Nikola Vucevic's Montenegro 85-73 to remain undefeated at the World Cup. Anthony Edwards was scoreless in the first half, but he made up for it with 17 points in the second half. They were able to close it out through strong performances from Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, and Austin Reeves. I mentioned Edwards scored
new king of the Philippines.
I know. They loved him. I was a little bit sad that how much they cheered for Austin Reeves and Walker Kessler. They thought Walker Kessler was like the biggest scrub. It's like, dude, like he's not bad. Anyway, Halliburton ended it with 10 points, 6 assists, 2 steals. Edwards had 17, as I mentioned. The victory puts Team USA in very strong position to advance to the World Cup quarterfinals, but they're going to have to get better because Montenegro's size was the big difference here. They led at halftime, so America has to figure out their size issue because they brought a lot of guards, a lot of scoring opportunity, but when it comes to these teams, these Baltic countries, if you will, that have the size, they need some answers.
Yeah, no, they can beat you up, and I don't think U.S. has had the real test that they can see there. I mean, the one thing that goes the other way is like, yes, they beat you up bigs, but I mean, I think the U.S. is bringing the best guard play to this championship by like a considerable amount, so I do still feel the advantage there, especially as you get to the doldrums of the game into the third and fourth quarter, still bode pretty well for the U.S. And also, as you said, got our secret weapon, Ivan Drago, Walker Kessler, sitting on the bench ready to, because anytime he comes in, he's blocking shots, getting rebounds, catching lobs. Like, guy knows what he's doing. So, you might see more of him, but I don't think the alternate pieces of a team like Montenegro is really going to shake the U.S. very much. And I don't think the U.S. has hit the teams that are going to give them a hard time quite yet. I'm looking more to your Canada's, Slovenia's, Australia's to really give the U.S. team a hard time.
I was, this international basketball is always so pesky because France is out.
Latvia.
I know.
Kristaps Porzingis
I know.
Latvia took out France.
But,
Davis Bertans, do we talk enough about Davis Bertans?
Oh, we do not. We do not talk enough about the Washington Wizards. But just watching this, I've been impressed with Anthony Edwards trying to take that next step to be the guy. Paolo Banchero on this team looks like a guy who he's not ready to be the guy every single game, but he can show you, flashes there.
He's got a lot.
And just Jalen Brunson just built for international basketball.
Yeah. No, and it's the balance going from, Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart in the first unit, and then getting to Reeves and Halliburton and more Ingram now in the second unit, using him as a playmaker. I think, that's one thing also understated in this is like you have a coaching staff of Steve Kerr, Eric Spoelstra, who else is on there? There's a couple other good coaches on that squad. Yeah. So, like they're really figuring it out to what they have, unlocking the best out of these guys and shit. Oh, I love the fact that besides for Rondé Hollis Jefferson, who has all of a sudden put himself back on the map, which I love, former net 24. What's up? One of the funniest things about this is like Anthony Edwards is turning himself into, he's making me like a Wolves believer.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting here watching this going like, well, they got a chance, and I'm starting to look at the roster and sometimes like there is historical precedence. I know it's like the fourth time I've said that in the podcast, but there is historical precedence for guys breaking out in these FIBA things. And I think Durant was one of them. So, I think we might really be seeing the coming out party for Anthony Edwards, who like it's just such a delight, right? To watch play and to listen talk and like, there was a question I heard on a podcast the other day. There was a question he was asked where he couldn't understand exactly what they were saying. It was a Spanish reporter. And he's just like, listen, man, it's simple. I just get stops and I score the basketball. And I'm like, oh, I love Anthony Edwards. It's all it is. It's all it is, baby. Come on. Keep it
and
simple.
I love the fact because what was the thing that we were talking about with the John Morant thing? Like, who's going to be the face of the league? I am more than happy for Anthony Edwards to be the face. Him and Paolo Banchero, those two together. Come on.
Good guys for the crown. Good guys for the crown. That's it.
And it's a thing that we've been talking a lot about USA basketball. it being more of a process year to year, a more consistent national team, building upon this Olympics next year. Maybe you had one or two bigger stars, but you keep this core. That's how the
Right.
other nations have done it.
Yeah.
And, the U.S. can't just throw a dream team in there anymore. The rest of the world's too good. So love what I'm seeing from
Yeah,
over there.
yeah. They've really found that balance of young superstar.
Yeah.
Like you got to get those guys on the precipice, and those are the ones that you can ride for a few years. So yeah.
Do you want to talk a little Ronald Acuna Jr. here?
Oh,
Because he had a
please.
Thursday night.
30-60. Good gracious.
And not to mention that he got married in the morning. So he gets married. He goes for 30-60, loving baseball, if you will. Here's as somebody who has, recently made a big life thing. I feel like the girlfriend would be or a fiance. Wow, I'm gonna get in trouble for that one. Would get really mad if I was like, "Hey, sweetie, I got a game at night. Can we get married on a Monday morning? I get you're in LA, and I get you can get married in Malibu, but man, going from the wedding in the morning. I mean, granted, he's making a lot of money, but what do you make of having the wedding in the morning, game at night?
Listen, we can never judge people's personal lives, right?
Yeah.
And this could have been done for a very like we never give anyone the benefit of the doubt and go, oh, you know what? Like maybe somebody's like 97-year-old like great grandmother lives in Los Angeles and they really needed to do it there because like that's the only way Granny could make it.
Yeah.
That's sweet, isn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe it was that.
I
hope so too. I'd like to talk more about Acuna's accomplishments, please, because like right now we're sitting, he's got about 25 games to go here. And he's sitting at 180 hits, 120 runs, 31 doubles, 30 home runs. He's even up to 70 walks. He's got 420 OBP and 62 stolen bases, which means he can very realistically have kind of like a 35-70 season, let alone 30-60. It's an unprecedented year. It's amazing. The one thing I'm finding even more remarkable about it is that we talked 2 weeks ago about this NL MVP being a 2-horse race between Freddie Freeman and Ronald Acuna. And then out of nowhere, Mookie Betts has like the best month of his life. And he's the odds-on favorite to steal the MVP from Acuna now, I think. Mm-hmm. And Freddie Freeman's sitting there with like a 345 average and like 50 doubles. So really, this is like such a great, one of the best MVP races I've seen in ages, especially with the AL being so boring. Yeah. The fact that it's just like Ohtani or bust and no one's coming anywhere near him. The one thing I think should be considered a little about the steals is that, I've been a baseball stat nerd since I was a little fucking kid. And I gave up like the post Rickey Henderson, Vince Coleman era of baseball. There was a lull there where I really gave up on anyone getting near these kinds of steal numbers again. I was like, the game has changed. It's like basketball players not shooting threes and stuff like that. It's just like the game changed. People aren't stealing anymore. The catchers got too good. The pitchers got too good. It's too hard. And I started getting used to this, 38 steals leads the league, 36 steals leads the league. And then the MLB, as part of their changes this year, adds a little bit to the base size, and stolen base numbers are way up. I mean, we already have currently Ruiz has 53 steals and Carroll has 41. So, I mean, we already have 3 guys over 40, and then we have 3 more over 35. And 2 more over 30. So currently there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people over 30 stolen bases. Let me go even just back to last season, where the leader in the league was John Berti with 41 steals. Jorge Mateo second with 35. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players with over 30 steals last year. We still had 25 games to go. There's already 8. And there's guys who are eclipsing 50 and 60. So clearly we have to put some kind of a marker here in the historical sense with stolen bases, because this really greatly increased the number. It obviously had a big impact if you just go from A to B in these 2 years. So they are inflated numbers in that way. And I don't know how much, if it's really like a tic tac between Acuna and Betts and Freeman for the MVP award. I do wonder if that's going to hurt him a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's run through some of these top 5 teams, shall we? It's officially September, which means the postseason is right around the corner. Let's talk about these Braves for a sec. High and fly above the rest of the league still. Plus 245 run differential. They're not quite the 98 Braves, but gosh darn, they are close.
Beast.
They have no signs of slowing up. But as you mentioned, and we'll get to the Dodgers in just a little bit. What do the Braves have to do down the stretch to keep themselves in position to be one of the favorites to get to the Fall Classic?
Well, I mean, I think last night was a big one, which was, this series they have going right now with the Dodgers is kind of, to me, the Dodgers' last chance to, take that like number 1 seed from Atlanta. Yeah. Atlanta won a very tough game last night, 8-7. It took the first game of the series. So now Atlanta's at 88 wins. Dodgers are at 83, and it's looking a little harder to eclipse. But no, I think they're the cream of the crop this year, especially, with the Dodgers pitching the way it is and a little more tenuous than what the Braves have. Baltimore, like when we're getting to the whole shebang, they're such a fun team, but there's such little historical precedence recently to not a lot of track record in your Seattle's and Minnesota and Baltimore. Great, nice young teams and fun to watch, but hard to see them getting all the way through now. But Houston's still a juggernaut, still sitting there, still has one of the best lineups and staffs in baseball. So I think they're a big one. And then, there's a couple sleeper teams here in the NL. I hate to do it, but this Philly team is really good. They really have one of the most stacked lineups in baseball. Now that Turner has turned it around, I mean, when you're going through Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Castellanos, Alec Boehm, there's not a gap in this lineup, and they have really strong front end starting pitching, Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler both are not guys who are going to blow you away with AC stuff like as much as some of these guys, but they're two of the most solid guys in baseball at this point, as far as going out and giving you a chance on any given night. So I think they're kind of a sleeper team. Cubs, a little bit of a sleeper team. That's the way I'm seeing it now, but I'd say but Tampa always surprises us. There's a lot of surprise teams sneaking around this year. And, we've seen a lot of teams go ahead and win, 100 plus games in the regular season and boof it in the playoffs too. Baseball is a long season, and a lot can happen,
Cubs, one of those teams that a few years ago, they had their championship team, kind of blew it up to try to prepare for a season like this next season. Sticking with the mold of what you should do if you're struggling in what you think is a championship window.
Yeah, and it's just, they're a good example right now of, holding on to some prospects that you really believe in for a long time and then supplementing in other ways. This Cody Bellinger reclamation project is going to be extremely expensive for them if they decide to keep him too. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but they've made a lot of really smart moves. They're just so young. That's where it's hard to see, when your best players are at the age the Cubs are, it's hard to see them pull around right now.
So September 1st, let's mark it down. What's your World Series prediction?
I mean, I'm not betting against the Braves right now, just because I can't. It's like the most boring thing in the world, but I think it might be Braves Astros. As much as I don't want to see it.
No birds?
Nah, I don't see it. That pitching staff for Baltimore is I have a feeling might get chunked down in the playoffs a little bit. Bautista just went down, and he was a big part of that whole back end relief, doing so well this year. So now, I mean, that's the problem I'm seeing with baseball right now, is that I love a lot of these young teams that are about to win their divisions and get through, but some of the old dogs are still so good that I have a hard time seeing it being anybody but the Braves, Dodgers, Astros, kind of, and even the Rays.
I'm going to be really interested to see what postseason baseball looks like this year, because for the past few years, it's been that like game management. Your starter goes for maybe 5, and then it's like real bullpen ball. It doesn't feel like that's kind of the way, especially with like the way that like the pitch clock and all these new rule changes have come in. It feels like postseason baseball this year is going to be less the GM trying to manage through like an intermediary and more kind of what we used to see.
I can see that. And I think some of that too is just some of these teams we're talking about do have solid, I can throw 110 pitches any night front end starters, and that's a big part of it. Even Tampa, like, a team that's famous for doing that. Oh, we finally have Tyler Glasnow, like really hurling now. Like, we're not going to take him out before 6 innings if he is. Yeah. So, a lot of it was the lack of front end starting too, which seems a little bit better this year than it has been in the past.
All right. Well, baseball postseason coming up. College football started.
We're not talking about the Yanks. Not at all. I'm sorry.
It's so sad. But
sorry.
Hey,
I guess we got some Anthony Volpe in the top.
Yeah, we got some Volpe. They sound like they're going to be more of a hot stove conversation this year. So, Jack Curry, come on through when we get to the hot stove.
We'll get him.
All right. Well, the Atlantic Coast Conference, they are expanding from their eastern roots in a complete conference realignment mess around. The ACC is adding Stanford, Cal, and SMU. Shout out to the Pony Express. Death penalty years ago, bought their way back in the era where cash is king. Heading to the ACC, Stanford and Cal keeping it together. It will bring the league to 18 members. But really, at what point, these aren't academic institutions anymore. This is semi-professional football, really taken away from the pageantry and all of this of what it means. This is great for the football. Basketball doesn't really even out, though. SMU's been decent. But man, like your women's soccer and women's softball, gonna have to, for women's soccer, this is gonna be great. You're gonna have Stanford, Notre Dame, North Carolina. A lot of the U.S. women's national team comes from that. But outside of that, there's not too much upside here.
And listen, I don't mean to be someone who's too glued to words here, but the same issue we had, I'm talking last week about the Big Ten. Yeah. And just the simple phrasing here. We're adding Stanford and Cal to the Atlantic Coastal Conference. The fuck are we doing here, man? Like, seriously. I don't get, this is just the dumbest shit. Yeah. Somehow we just allow the dumbest shit without calling out the simple fact of the dumbest shit. Does this make any fucking sense to you? There was a reason that these teams were grouped together regionally at one point. Yeah. There was an actual reason, and the fact that you just completely abandoned this idea, oh my God, it's just gone too far. It really has. And I'm getting to that point where I'm just imagining these kids. Yes, I go to college and I play sports. I'm on the running team or something. And now I'm spending 4 days flying to California to have one meet when I'm just kind of a random college athlete. It just doesn't add up, man. And you know what this is going to turn into? It's they're going to make these decisions thinking on the top end, and who's going to suffer are all the lower end teams who don't make a lot of money getting cut from college rosters, and there being less and less availability of college sports for more people. So I don't like it.
Especially this one in particular. And the irony here, Stanford, Cal, two pretty liberal schools that are big in their students championing, trying to slow down global warming and stuff like that. And meanwhile, they're going to be fueling up the jets.
No shit, man. No shit. That's a good point. That's something you don't even think about. Yeah. When it comes to endowments and things like that, the environment can go fuck itself, right?
My interest in college football has never been, it's just not interesting. If I want to watch professional football, there's a great league that happens on Sundays.
Yeah.
If you take out the pageantry, if you take out, I mean, thank God like Stanford and Cal get to stay together, but these are games that mean something. And it's how these schools keep the fabric of, you galvanize. I know when I went to Marquette and it's like Wisconsin week, you're like, oh, like there's like events you can get excited about it.
Yeah.
No one's gonna get excited about Wake Forest, SMU, like. And these colleges already have a problem with kids not wanting to go to the game because they have other ways to like keep their interest. And we're talking football games and like basketball games, stuff that is the reason why people used to go to these schools. No one's
Yeah.
gonna go for like a Tuesday SMU Wake Forest like basketball game. I mean, maybe, but
Well, I think the thing you talked about is like, what is the interest in college sports? And I think a lot of the interest for a number of years is these regional battles. Like, did I lose interest in Rutgers to a point when we stopped playing Seton Hall?
Yeah.
When we stopped playing like these old school things that actually like mean something to people around here, where you can be in an office and one person went to Rutgers and one went to Seton Hall, and it's like, uh-oh, Duck's gonna be pissed tomorrow. Like, there's real shit here, and it develops over a long period of time, and that's the reason it means something to people. So like, I think they're really dancing with the devil in that way too. Like, culturally, you're actually like pulling the reason people care, because as you said, I'm more of a pro sports kind of guy. If I'm going to take my time to watch this entertainment product, I'd like to watch the best people in the world do it in one place.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I prefer the mixtape. And like, and a lot of this takes away, I think, a fan like me, who's not deeply invested in college sports. And the only investment I did have was in these rivalries and leagues that have all been taken away from me. So I do think they're dancing in a weird way with probably fans like me the most.
And in a way, like all sports are kind of doing this. It's just less obvious, because, with how TV contracts have impacted everything. Like, it's like the reason why, and if to go back to baseball, why we used to have, okay, like AL teams played AL teams and NL, like there was like the separation there. Then Apple comes in with like the big TV money, ESPN comes in, but now you're starting to see like a ESPN can't keep up with all of it, because now like a company like Disney can't go head to head with a company like Apple, and it just all eats itself. And eventually I'm wondering what's going to be left of sports in like 10 years.
I'm not sure, and you're right. Like, as just a consumer of the product, like, I caught one of those Apple TV Friday nights for baseball.
Yeah.
Coverage was great.
Yeah.
It looked great. It was smooth. It was like, and you're right. Like, I don't think these old companies are going to be able to compete once like Amazon and Apple and these monoliths really start putting their feet down and trying to carve the space. Space is going to be theirs.
Yeah.
Like,
and the moment that Jeff Bezos pays Charles Barkley and inside the NBA crew, it's over.
He's in.
Over.
He's in. Charles will work for anyone. Charles works for a paycheck, baby. He doesn't work for anyone. That's what I love about Charles.
I love it. Well, we work for a paycheck here too, I guess. And if you want to hit us up, we are at the TuneUp HQ on all the social platforms. Be sure to email us at the tuneuppodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up all over there. Like I said, TuneUp HQ, all the social platforms. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss a thing. If you want to follow the big man on Instagram, he is at Benny Horowitz. I am at Deny Gallagher. Benny, you got anything else?
Yeah, man. Love people. Fuck Firefest.
The show has ended. Go in peace. You've been listening to and watching The Tune Up.